Jazz styles explained. One, New Orleans jazz. Two, Swing jazz. 3. Bebop. Four. Cool jazz. 5. Hard bop jazz. 6. Modal jazz. And had a lasting impact on the direction of jazz. 7. Free jazz. 8. Fusion jazz. Nine. Latin jazz. 10. Smooth jazz.